A quick recap that very first thing that we started was the beginner's walk has three major responsibilities. That first responsibility is to the father. The second responsibility is for the family and the home. The third responsibility is to the storehouse, our local church, and to the community. And we've been gifted three gifts to take care of these responsibilities. We've been gifted with talent, we've been gifted with time, and we've been gifted with treasure. And it's how we use those three gifts that we will be able to take and become a success without a watch. It doesn't take a watch to become a success, Pastor said. So we don't have to have that so much. As I was looking through this thing today, I thought I have done my best to impress you with my abilities to define a few words. Talent, yeah, you know what to do. Treasure, yes. Our timing. But do you know what treasure is? Treasure is something valued if it's a noun. Treasure is something you value when it's a verb. Plain and simple, cut and dry. It doesn't need this preeminent definition because the value is not the same for Charlotte that anybody else might put on it. Because definitely her opinion and perception of the value of a piece of jewelry and mine may be different. I may not like the cubic zirconia that she likes because it's the wrong color. She may not like the black pearls that I have chosen. She may not like the yellow diamonds or the emeralds. But the thing is, every woman in here may not like that same strand of pearls that you have. Because that value you put on it is different than she put on it. That bike that you might have may not be the bike that I want, or that he might want, or that car. My dream car, and I kid you not, my dream car, it was the 1965 Rolls Corniche. Absolute. One of the all-time favorite. If I could have one, I'd take it. You can take my kids. You can't take the grandkids. Nope. I draw the line there. But of all the cars ever I wanted, if I could have had the 65 Rolls, that was it. But that's the value I placed on it. But it didn't put the same value on the repair cost. So we're looking at the treasure has different values. How are we going to take care of those values depends on how we are going to maintain the value. Now, I had a couple of questions that I want you to answer for me tonight. When are we to give? Always. Good answer. Arve, when are we to give? That's the same answer. We can't use the same answer. That was it. Whenever the need arises and poses itself, that's when we give. And it's not always cash. The need may be the treasure of your time. The need may be the treasure of your talent. Mark is working on his PC. He says, I've got to put it in a video card. Mark, if you could put the video card in my laptop, that's cool. So you see the value of the treasure I need is his wisdom of being able to replace that. So I'm looking at the treasure is not something that always has to come out of the back pocket. It's not green with a picture of a dead president. It's not plastic and raised in embossed numbers. It is the value of whatever God has laid on your heart to share with someone else. What are we to give has just been answered. You're saved by the bell on that one. Okay? I looked at a few things that God has put in the Bible and that he brought to me as a symbol. And I thought they were kind of cool. he used a symbol for me that I can use as treasure. Now, the pastor, he has already told us that he shops at Walmart on a regular basis. Daily, weekly, hourly, I don't know, but we're going to leave it with regular. And we all know that the rumors, I mean, well, we know that not everybody with well dressed goes there. How about we put it that way? So one afternoon, I'm thinking, I see this man get on the bus. And he gets on the bus. He stands there. As soon as the bus is, he's waiting to get off that bus. But he's about 75 years old. And he's walking as fast as he can. And I'm thinking, Walmart's in a hurry. God said, take Walmart where he has to go. Really? I didn't value my time as well as I thought I did. And do you know, when Walmart sees me, he gets in my truck. He doesn't just walk. He stands there waiting for me to unlock the door. He's put a value on that ride. But that's an easy call for me. And what I saw in that symbolism was Psalms 103:15. As for man, his days are like grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourishes. And what I saw was all the time we're waiting in line at Walmart or at the gas station or anywhere else we have to stand and wait that we're presented with another person to witness to. There's our valued field. There's our treasure hunt. You don't have to go looking for them. We go to Arkansas, we can go looking for diamonds. We can go to Hawaii, we can go dig for diamonds. We can go to Africa. We can go treasure hunting in the backyard if you have a Geiger counter. But if we can go stand at the gas station, we can go treasure hunting for God. Simple. They will walk to you, you know. And then we have in Luke 12:24, consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor do they reap. Now, I asked my son this afternoon, I said, what do you think that was in symbolism? And I don't even know what he said because it didn't make sense to me. But that's okay. He gave me an answer. And I was thinking, you know, the guy who cut me off in traffic, I wasn't hurt. Praise God. I didn't have to find something. There was a treasure that I'm still alive, I'm still safe, and I'm sound, and we're still moving. There's a treasure of sound, safe, and health. I can find treasure now that I didn't think it was going to be there. Treasure is a positive attitude. And I promise you, the negative attitude is expensive as a bouncing check that you can't catch and grab back. And then in Luke 12:27, consider the lilies. I asked him what he thought about that. And he said, that's really a majestic flower. They're so pretty. And he gave me just about every kind of pastoral position you could find. Bishops and priests and every pastoral. And I said, not really. It's not what I thought. Because God was looking for teaching me something about the value of somebody local. How about the treasure of the joy of your neighbors? Do you know your neighbors next door? What is the neighbors people across the street over one house? I know the daughter's name because they come over and say hello, but I don't know the seniors. You know, the joy of a good neighbor is like the lily of the field. It can bring you joy. They don't work for you. They don't do anything for you, but the joy in the neighborhood because there's peace on that street as long as there's good neighbors. And I was looking at, why are you showing this to me, God? He said, because you can find treasure in my family wherever you look for me. And I'm saying, but God, this is not what I thought you wanted me to teach on. He said, the treasure is more than money. It starts with loving my people. And when you love my people, they will feel accepted. They will feel a value, and they will feel a need to supply your need. And one of the Old Testament stories is when Elijah went to the widow woman, and he said, bake me a cake first. It seemed to her like he was being selfish. Bake me a cake first. She said, but I just have enough for one cake for me and my son. After that, we're going to die. Very positive attitude. Well, there's one pancake for Mark. Joyce is gone. Because he's not going to share that pancake. He's not going to share that pancake. Of course, she's not going to let him have the butter or the syrup, so he's going to have to eat it dry. But he said, make me a cake first. She followed what he said to do. Because he told her what was going to happen. He told her that you do this, God's going to make sure that everything's taken care of. Her barrel of flour never went dry. Her bin of oil never went dry. Because she followed instructions. That's all I want my kids to do. That's all my kids want their kids to do. That's all my Father wants me to do. And as long as I have bread to hand, that's all I have to do sometimes. He doesn't want me, doesn't expect me, and doesn't think that I'm going to be able to support this whole thing by myself. So I'm going to think, well, what am I going to have to do? I have to sow sparingly. I never saw a farmer, and I was raised by farmers. My mother, her family, a large family, sharecroppers. I never saw my parents take one seed apiece and go out there and plant one seed just to get one stalk. In fact, they didn't plant just one row and hope they could feed each person one row for the year. They planted acres. Because one stalk of wheat would plant another row next year. Can you imagine how many people, if Gary was a plant, and Paul, and every one of us was one witnessing a day, exponential growth of this church? The growth alone would force the money coming in. I know the fact that our responsibilities would make the money come in. It doesn't have to happen. We don't have to expect it. It happens. And I've seen people, and I've heard them, when the pastor, evangelist, or preacher began the offering. Oh, there he goes again. I was wondering how long it's going to take to get around to that. How many is going to take today, and what's it going to be used for? I mean, I've actually heard these. I'm ashamed to say I thought about myself. And then when I thought about what's it used for, the growth of the kingdom of God is by far worth more than anything else. You know, when the widow's mite went into the offering, and I'm just going to simulate, whether it be a quarter or a penny, it doesn't really matter. Hey, if it was all she had, it's all she had, right? She gave 100% of whatever she had. She gave more with what she had with 100% than what he gave of 1% of all he had. And God showed me, he says, I can do more with a little of anything that you have than you can do with all that I have. I said, God, he said, I can do more with 1% of what you have, with just 10% of what you have, than you can do with everything I could give you. And then he began to show me, because if I give you everything that I've got, you're going to lose focus. You're not going to give it to the missionaries. You're not going to give it to the children's church. You're not going to give it to the nursery fund. You're not going to give it to the building fund. You're not going to give because you're going to be too busy doing other things. Becoming irresponsible with your needs in the church. And if you do that, other people will do that. And I have just become as irresponsible with my money as a 10-year-old who doesn't know how to hold the money, that hasn't been taught. And I'm thinking, well, what else are you going to teach me, God? He said, oh, I don't have that much time for you or today. Your day is limited. Mine's not. But one thing he wants me to be careful of is don't brag about what you do. Just do it. If somebody sees you putting a $5 bill or a $20 bill in, okay, so they see it. If they say something, that's between them and God. But if you say, hey, look, there's a $100 bill. The blessing that you would have got, the blessing that you would have been given, received, or that was intended has just been washed away. And that I know will happen. Voice of experience here. If it's a mistake, trust me, I probably made it. I'm thinking that our giving sometimes is a misnomer, because we think that the pastor is expecting it. And I don't think he's expecting anything. This body of believers, we have obligations. When was the last time you built a house with absolutely zero cost? Zero cost. The land was given to you tax-free. The materials were given to you tax-free. The labor, insurance. You didn't pay a penny. Somebody just comes up and hands you a title. When was the last time they did that to you? Oh, wait a minute. We got to change light bulbs and air conditioning filters. Do they give those to you free? No. There's maintenance that's got to be done on a regular basis. It doesn't cost anything. Or does it? See, a lot of us don't expect or don't think about some of the things that we see on a regular basis at home has to happen at church. We don't consider, we got to change the air conditioners? You mean they need toilet paper at church? Paper towels too? Yes. Diaper bags need to be cleaned out. Toilet trash cans. The copiers have to be replaced. Oh, breakfast. Not another one of those. Oh, by the way, somebody. I will get into that later. But the thing is, we have a repeating cost. So therefore, we have a repeating income, which means there's a repeating responsibility needed. And I'm looking at, it's my job. And God showed me it's not his responsibility. It's not her responsibility. David, it's your responsibility to give. David, it's your responsibility to make sure that the church is clean. It's your responsibility. The guests are greeted. It's your responsibility. And that would be an arduous task should one person have to be the sole provider for all those services. And that's not a possible option unless there's just one door and one other person besides you there. Maybe two. So all the responsibilities can be shared. I was looking at the word teamwork the other day, and it has nothing to do with treasure, nothing to do with time or talent, but it does have to do with sharing. If you spin some of the letters around, it's teamwork is me at work for you. It doesn't have I receiving anything. It's me at work for the team. I'm doing something for you. You're doing something for them. They're doing something for all of us. But we're all doing something together, whether it's giving, taking, receiving, sharing, pushing, shoving. Ha! Careful now. That we don't get so loaded down where we feel like it's all our job. And I want to look at the idea of where will you go? Will you share? Will you go? And will you give? Will you share? It's going to take faith. Hebrews chapter 11, it's known as the faith chapter. Verses 1 through 9. Deuteronomy chapter 28, it's will you go? And this is going to be the blessings of obedience. I looked at chapter 28, and my wife will attest to this, I am a lazy person. I am lazy. Verses 1 through 14 is the blessings of obedience. The curses of disobedience is 15 through 69. I don't have time for 54 verses of cursing. No. Let me have the 14 because I'm too busy for the 54. I'm too lazy to have to deal with those 54. So, it's going to be better to obey than to sacrifice those 54. I don't have time for that. So we're looking at if we fully obey, and I'm not, I thought, I could focus in on all these verses about Malachi chapter 10. We give our 10%. We fund this, we fund that. But I think you've already received all these giving scriptures. I think what we need to do is learn to make the offering. Offer our time, offer our abilities, offer whatever we can. Pastors up here every Sunday morning. When was the last time you washed his car? Pastors up here every Sunday morning. Charlotte's up here every Sunday morning. It's a Fiercely Praise Hour. We'll play with that. When was the last time we took them lunch so she didn't have to cook and he didn't have to pay for lunch out? It's a simple act of charity, no? No, it's a simple act of love. That takes time. That takes effort. It doesn't take much talent. I've seen him eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But the thing is that I want you to understand that the offerings that we bring in here are for the entire assembly to appreciate, the entire assembly to benefit from. The pastor's salary comes from this assembly. We have workers in the children's service that receive a portion of their salary. A portion of their monthly income comes from this church. We don't pay their full annual salary. This church can't handle that much yet. But if you could get $100, $200 a month, would that not be a benefit to you on a regular basis? Yeah, I don't see anybody who's saying no that extra $100, extra $300 a month, it would be beneficial. What I want you to look at for the last item is that Christ gave himself, the ultimate offering. No one can offer more than what he offered. He offered not just his physical life, but he stepped away from his position, away from the throne. And he didn't just step away from the throne, he stepped into the storm of sin, and he left all the protection behind. For those of you who were out this morning, you would understand. Step outside in the rain, you would have left all the protection behind. Then you would understand just a minute way of what he was doing. He gave everything for this, for these, for you. Everything that you have is a blessed. Everything that we have that is a benefit in this church, whether it be a missionary that comes in, a nursery worker, breakfast, whatever, it is because he offered himself for us. If God sent his son, he gave himself. Who wants to give their son away? Seriously? Who wants to give their son away? I don't see any hands raised. Does anybody want to offer themselves like Christ did? And seriously? No hands are raised. So if those two things are offered for our salvation, this house of worship has got to be maintained. And it can't be maintained just from the good looks of us sitting on the chairs. We can't sit here and look like two peas on a pod and just hope that everything happens. If it's going to happen, it's because you are making it happen. Because if you don't, God's got somebody else who's willing to obey. Obedience is better than sacrifice, right? And I like what it says in 1 Chronicles, and I will wrap this up. 1 Chronicles 29. Moreover, in my delight, in verse 3, moreover, in my delight in the house of my God, the treasure I have of gold and silver I give to the house of my God. David just let everything give to the church. Okay. So, if you need me to pray for you, call me. If you need Pastor prayer for you, call me. Joyce said she'd pray for you. I mean that. I've heard her say, if you need me to pray for you, call me. I think she's talking to somebody else besides me. But the thing is, I believe that if you want somebody to pray for you and you have their number, I don't believe anybody in here would turn you down. So everybody has a responsibility now. If you didn't have a talent, I just gave you a talent. If you didn't have a responsibility, you have one now. And that is something to be treasured, whether it's cash or time. Pastor.